Our Security Affairs editor Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us the story. The Liberal Party leadership vote is on the 9th of March to pick Trudeau's successor. The vote is under Canadian Intelligence Agency's scanner because Canada's Elections Intelligence Task Force of the CSIS and the RCMP, they will be keeping a very close watch on the Liberal Party leadership vote on the 9th of March. The reason? The Liberal Party is actually asking PR holders to vote for them. It's an attempt to bring in voters conveniently who are not actually naturalized Canadians yet. The Liberals are allowing permanent resident PR holders, that means holders of passport of another nation who may still have voting rights in another nation, they are allowing them permission to come in and vote within the Liberal Party race for the next leader. Now, that's a huge concern. Terry Milewski, author, and Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author and analyst, should be joining us in a bit. There is more to this story. Top intelligence sources have also told your channel that foreign interference in Canada's elections has always been a concern. China's involvement was very visible, and according to Canadian intelligence CSIS, China actually attempted to interfere in the 2019 and 2021 Canadian elections. China's tactics allegedly included disinformation campaigns, donations to support preferred candidates. The Chinese also directed international students to work for specific candidates. Their goal was to ensure the Liberal Party's victory, but with only a minority government. Now, Han Dong, a Liberal MP, was accused of being part of a Chinese foreign interference network, but later confessed to use Chinese students in Canada to work for him. Vincent Kay, member of the Provincial Parliament, Ontario, was accused of serving as a financial intermediary for the Chinese consulate. He denied the allegations, but later resigned from his role as parliamentary secretary. There are also concerns that the Conservative Party has softened its stance on China since 2021 election, potentially due to foreign interference. There are concerns that a number of ISI-backed candidates will be influencing the elections. Canadian political parties having a faulty leadership selection system and the wrong practices are some of the other big concerns that need to be addressed. Dr. Anand Ranganathan joins us. We should also have Terry Milewski joining us any minute. Dr. Ranganathan, namaste. Now, the Liberal Party is going to vote for the successor after Trudeau. But imagine if you or me had gone there, even on a permanent residency, and signed up to be members of the Liberal Party, you and me would have had a vote. That's what they are saying.
Yes, and my vote would have gone to Trudeau. Just joking. Anand, look, there are 3 or 4 things that we must internalize. That is what contemporary world history has taught us over the last 100 years. That there is this sort of brotherhood that you see in a religion, that you see in quote-unquote liberals. I'm not going to use liberals without quotes because these guys are anything but liberals. These are leftist dunderheads who, the moment they get power, they want to be in power for as long as they wish, even though their governments, they themselves remain deeply unpopular and lose the common vote. So they have this brotherhood. You just took the example of a Chinese origin MP who was actually basically undermining the democratic process that elected him. And we've seen this time and again, not just in Canada, but in every country where the left has had a foothold. You look at India, you look at EMS Namboodiripad, where when he was the sitting chief minister in July of 1969 of Kerala, he said we must undermine, wreck Ambedkar's constitution from within. And the only way we will have semblance of democracy is to actually change completely our constitution. And you've seen the allegiance that Indian communists have with China, how despite knowledge of the fact that China has internalized 1.5 million Muslims in concentration camps, is feeding them pork, and the communist love for Palestinians and Muslims, not a squeak has emerged from Indian communists as far as condemning China is concerned. And they were the ones who were celebrating the Communist Party of China through, Zoom call. So we know this is a fact as far as left liberals are concerned. Let's put it that way if you don't want to use the word liberals. Of course, they're going to undermine the process. You know what was going to happen in the USA. You know the fear that Musk, legitimate, I must say, although many allege that he was conspiratorial, that this is going to be the last democratically fought elections in the states because the swing states are going to be filled up to the brim with illegal immigrants, that they are always going to vote Democrats. That was the fear that Elon Musk kind of, projected. It had an element of truth. And you've seen how deeply unpopular Trudeau is around the world, how he's had to resign because he's deeply unpopular in Canada itself. The writing is on the wall. They are going to use every means possible, as they have done. Please, my only request is, Anand, please don't see Canadian liberals as isolated from quote unquote liberals from around the world.
No, it's this very worrying trend, Terry Milewski, that people who are not Canadian, how can they vote the successor of a party that is going to participate in Canadian electoral politics and also perhaps somewhere decide or lead the government of a nation? Are you okay with that?
Like this, it's been going on around for years, and because it goes on because the politicians like it. The voters don't. They find this very suspicious, the way that people can arrive at nomination meetings in local ridings and vote. And until, for example, you didn't even have to be a resident. You just had to show up and say that you're over 14 and produce a recently photoshopped electricity bill or something to suggest that you're a resident of the riding. And that was enough. And it worked for the politicians because if you could get a couple of busloads of people to show up at the nomination meeting, regardless of who they are, they would vote for you. So it's a great system. Let's have it wide open. Now, the Liberal Party new rule say that you have to be a citizen. Not that you have to be a permanent resident. They say you have to be a citizen of Canada. So it remains to be seen whether that's going to be enforced and how it is to be enforced. Because if you're a politician and you are attending that meeting and you're hoping that these people will vote for you, you may not want to be exactly vigilant about their citizenship. So I'm yet to be convinced these new rules will be enforced. But theoretically, remember, in writing, the new rules that have been put out by the Liberal Party in the last few days have been quite clear. You must be not just over 14 years old, but also a citizen of Canada. We'll see if that gets enforced. And then how will we know? How will we even know?
But are those the latest rules? We are given to understand the Liberal Party is encouraging PRs also to come and vote.
Well, that's my point, is that already it looks as though they're going to ignore these rules because the politicians like them too much. I mean, it's the same story as we've told it several times, I think, on your network about why politicians tolerate other parties pandering to and tolerating Khalistani. Because they do the same thing, and because if they're voting for me, they don't want to look too closely at who these people are. I believe that they're going to try to do the same thing in this leadership campaign. It'll be an interesting question to ask candidates. Are you sure that the people who voted for you are actually citizens of Canada? And he's going to say, or she's going to say, I don't know. How can I tell?
But please educate me, Terry. Does the Canadian Constitution not have any guidelines? Is there no representation of people acts similar or a simile in Canada, which very clearly defines who can vote, who can a party go ahead and call? Even for its own internal constitution, does it not somewhere outline some guidelines on how political parties must frame their constitution and membership, etc.?
In terms of voting in federal elections in Canada, yes, those are national federal laws, but they do not apply to the internal affairs of political parties. The government is sensitive about trying to legislate the behavior of political parties internally, and so they allow the parties to make their own rules, and those rules change time to time. They have changed. We are in a hurry. The Liberals need to get a leader pretty damn quick in order to have any kind of chance at all in the election, and so they have come up with these new rules that they do say that you have to be a citizen, but that's not really enforceable in law. The police don't come and police your nomination meeting. You do that yourself. The local party writing executive does that, and it's their jurisdiction. If they want to look the other way when somebody comes, doesn't even speak any of the official languages of Canada, and it might seem to be a non-citizen or a recent arrival, because you know they're a recent arrival. Yeah, I know that guy. I saw him arriving at the airport.
No, but this is
the police can't step in.
Yeah, but it's a dangerous situation, Dr. Ranganathan, because then this allows political leaders to not just co-opt illegal immigrants, entrants, but there are entities which can then co-opt these politicians, saying that we will not only help you here, you help us, legitimize us, legalize us, we will help you further your own political career. But all in all, it's not in the interest of the country. And that's where this entire aspect of foreign interference also manifests.
No doubt. While Terry is technically right that, the Liberal Party has changed its rules, two questions quickly for my good friend Terry. Number one, is it not true, Terry, that although they are saying that anyone over 14 can vote, but in the Canadian elections, if you're 14, you're not allowed to vote? So why is it that there are different rules?
Yes, you're correct. That's the point, is that the party internally has loosey-goosey rules that may or may not be enforced. Federally, in the election, yes, that's policed more energetically. It's policed by the federal government. The federal government does not interfere in the internal affairs of political parties, and so they get away with any hanky-panky they want.
So this is a weird thing, Anand, where you can, choose a 14-year-old can choose Trudeau as the Prime Minister or the leader of the party, but the Canadians cannot, because you cannot be just 14 and vote in the general elections. This is a very weird thing that the party has. I wonder why people are continuing to overlook this rule. The second thing is, it's also correct, like in America, you don't need to show your ID when you're voting. And this was a big problem that Trump said is going to be there and manifest itself in a host of problems in the American elections. And that's the same case, if I'm not mistaken, Terry, in the Canadian elections. So who's going to find out whether you're a bona fide citizen or not?
Well, I think the answer in many cases is nobody's going to find out, because they're not going to ask the question.
Yes.
I mean, I can tell you, I've been to Liberal nomination meetings, one, for example, where 2 busloads of people arrived at the last minute in order to vote, and they came off the bus with freshly photoshopped BC Hydro bills. It's the electricity company in British Columbia, so that they're residents of the district, and they never had to show any other form of ID. Says, yeah, I live in the right, and here's my electricity bill. That's all they had to show. And they had 2 questions when they came off the bus. One, where are the samosas? And number 2, who are we voting for? In other words, somebody was guiding them. Somebody was shepherding them to the polling station in the nomination meeting, and they were going to say who we want you to vote for in return for the samosas.
So these may they may be shepherded, but the people who were shepherding them are the ones who will then tighten the screws. They will be the ones eventually who will pull the strings over that particular Liberal Party leader who would eventually get elected, get voted, get furthered, whose political career would get furthered.
And in fact, that meeting was one of the ones which brought down a Prime Minister. It brought down Prime Minister Chrétien and replaced him with Prime Minister Paul Martin. It was the Paul Martin people who engineered that meeting.
So we see how dangerous this is, Dr. Ranganathan, now, and the world is watching. Now, what stops entities who want to use Canadian politics? There are already many who are already operating there to try and tweak this and to ensure that some of their own puppets come into policy making, into politics, into political leadership. And how does then that skew the whole narrative away from or not in the interest of actual Canadians?
In fact, let me just add to that many people had insinuated this, although, I mean, this point has propped up only recently because they've changed the rules. Thank God for that. But till the time they hadn't, many people actually said that Trudeau was the one who was a severely compromised leader because of this process. because then you did not even have to be a citizen of Canada.
Yeah.
You could be just 14 years, and a lot of Khalistani elements, including Chinese one. And it's not just the, the MP, the Chinese origin MP that was actually confessed later on of doing all these hanky-pankies. It was actually 7, if I'm not mistaken, 7 MPs in Trudeau's government that actually were implicated by the opposition of helping Trudeau through the route that Terry just mentioned about busloads of people coming in, and they did not even have to be citizens, Anand.
So is there a solution to this? Can this be controlled, or is it just fait accompli? Because how do Canadian citizens, I'm not even talking about internationally, the world who's watching, how do Canadian citizens trust those who come across the Liberal vote, come through the Liberal vote?
So let me draw a parallel. Sorry.
Terry and then Anand. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, sorry, Terry, to interrupt, but, let me draw a parlance with how Kamala Harris became the candidate against Trump. And, basically it was not just an election at all. On whims and fancies of the Democratic Party, it was decided that Biden's going to step down. And Kamala wasn't the chosen one at all. So, on one hand, you can say, if you're very kind, that look, this is a party that's deciding. It's, you can do whatever you want. Ultimately, the Canadian people would decide who their prime minister is going to be. But as you said, if the choice is between a leader of one party versus the other, and that leader is severely compromised through foreign interference or worse, then the people are being given the wrong choice to begin with. And that itself is problematic for me. That's not democracy, I'm sorry.
And it has been like that for far too long. And Canadians have been very critical of the parties for the way they've been running these nomination meetings all across the country, many years, and nothing has changed, which tells you that it's to somebody's advantage. Leave the system the way it is. Let people through who legally probably shouldn't be let through. That is because, hey, they promised to vote for me.
Well, it is indeed a worrying trend, and someone should flag this. Let's just hope if they've changed the rules now, they adhere to the rules and someone enforces the adherence. Terry, thank you for your time. Dr. Ranganathan, do stay on. We'd get a move on here on this edition of The Right Stand. Now, days ahead of Bharat celebrating one full calendar year of the Pran Pratishtha of Ramlala at Ramlala Virajman in Ayodhya, RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat made a massive remark in Indore after giving the National Devi Ahilya Award, conferring it upon Champat Rai, the General Secretary of the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust. The RSS chief emphasized that the movement for the Ram Temple was not initiated in opposition to anyone. This movement was started to awaken the swa of Bharat, the self, the consciousness of Bharat, so that the country could stand on its own feet and show the path to the world. This is what Mohan Bhagwat stated. And he further said that the invaders demolished the nation's temples in an attempt to extinguish the swa or the identity of Bharat. He stated that the duration of the Ram Mandir movement was prolonged due to the resistance from certain factions who were against the construction of a temple at Lord Ram's birthplace. What Mohan Bhagwat stressed in his speech was how Ram Mandir consecration led to Bharat's spiritual independence, national resurgence, Bharat's spiritual self-awakening, an awakening of Bharat's consciousness to show the path forward to the world.
चंपत राय जी कहते वो आंदोलन नहीं यज्ञ है, ये बात बिल्कुल सही है। ये शुरू इसलिए नहीं हुआ था किसी का विरोध करना है। भारत का स्व मर जाए, भारत का स्व अपनी गर्दन ऊंची न कर सके, इसलिए तो मंदिरों के विध्वंस हुए। वो देवी देवता उनकी पूजा, ये स्व नहीं था वो, लेकिन उनके रूप में जो आदर्श सामने आते हैं, जीवन के जो मूल्य सामने आते हैं, वो भारतीय है। भारत उसके लिए जाना जाता है।
Rakesh Sinha, former Rajya Sabha MP, author, RSS thinker with us. We also have Dr. Ranganathan staying back. Rakesh Sinha ji, what should we infer from Mohan Bhagwat's comment? Is Ramlala Virajman the only temple that will arise the consciousness, awaken the consciousness? At that time, there was nothing political about it. It was purely to raise the consciousness of Bharat. And once Ramlala Virajman happened, Pran Pratishtha happened, then none of the other temples would have contributed the taking back of any of the other Janbhumis, be it Kashi Vishwanath, Adi Vishweshwar, the issue, or Krishna Janbhumi. All of that did not do anything to the swa of Bharat.
You know, Mohan Bhagwat ji rightly pointed out certain things which has not been deliberated and debated in the post-independent India for a long time. That is that India is not a piece of land. That is, political independence is contented with the political independence. This is a country which has a long history, and that long history goes in the millennium. When most of the European countries were not born, India has a Vedic era. Therefore, when the Mughals came, they destroyed the Bhagwan Ram temple. You know the importance of Bhagwan Ram in the life of the people. We begin our days with Ram, we end our life, means the end of the life is Ram. So Ram is a system of values. Ram is not a giver God. Ram is a God who idealizes the individual, society, groups and relationships. Therefore, importance of Ram is something different. And Mohan Bhagwat ji says that the reconstruction of Ram temple and almost the reconstruction, the entire movement was not only for the temple, it was a re-indoctrination of the Indian people. That re-indoctrination was required because the pseudo-secularists, since the era of the Mughal period and the colonial period, they have created a situation where to forgetfulness, we forget our own history, we forget our own past, we forget our own pride. Here the Ram temple made an important milestone in the history of India. Therefore, it is second independent movement. Because the cultural independence, without the cultural independence, no society gains the self. I am just giving example of Africa. After the independence, and Nagui was a great thinker who talked about the decolonization, and he wrote the decolonizing mind. He said it is a language because Africa is not such a history which India has. But whatever the history it has, he said that it was not only political independence, they also required their own language, their own tradition,
but
and
Rakesh
their
Sinha ji,
own cultural ethos.
But
here I'm adding one line
ji.
just I'm adding. So what is here that Mohan Bhagwat ji is talking about the self and soul. I'm just giving one example. You just go through the resolution of the Congress during the freedom movement, 1885 to 1947. Hardly there are 3-4 resolutions on culture. This Congress completely neglected. These 4 resolutions came when Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal and Lajpat Rai dominated the Congress. Ultimately they were thrown out. Shivaji Mahotsav was started by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and the Shivaji Mahotsav created a kind of self. That self was not against a particular community. But the pseudo-secular historians here again described Tilak's Shivaji festival as a kind of communal polarization of Hindus. Therefore, Mohan Bhagwat ji aptly said that.
No,
it was not against any community.
But my question
and
is...
this movement also marks...
But my question, Rakesh Sinha ji, is Somnath does not represent Bharat Swa? Krishna Janbhumi, Dwarka, Mathura does not represent Bharat Swa. Adi Vishweshwar in Kashi does not represent Bharat Swa. The temple, Harihar temple deemed to be or destined to be or claimed to be the birthplace of the 10th avatar of Vishnu Kalki does not represent, is not integral to Bharat Swa. So, because as many people say Jai Shri Ram, Ram Ram or Shri Ram Jayam, the same number of people say Har Har Mahadev, Om Namah Shivaya, or they say Hari Bol or Radhe Radhe or Jai Shri Krishna. So, why is only Ram Janbhumi important and the rest of them not important for the RSS Sarsanga Chalak?
No, it's not that rest of things are not important. You have to understand the difference. The Ram movement, this was a Ram Janbhumi movement. This movement had a span of more than 4 centuries. This movement was particularly for the restoration of the temple. When it was the restoration of temple, it was symbolizing, it has been symbolizing that India's urge for its own self. This I use the term re-indoctrination of the people. So the entire movement, we got the Ram movement through a movement. You got the Ram movement through a great discourse and debate. You know, this movement has changed the pattern of discourse in this country. Entire pseudo-secular historians had debated that this was a communal movement. So therefore I consider that this movement is very important. I am giving one example.
Nobody is taking Rakesh Sinhaji, with due respect to you and to Sri Mohan Bhagwat, the RSS is a social organization. If it was working towards the socio-cultural renaissance or rebirth of Bharat Swa, then it should have gone to the people of the country to say that all of these temples, they were all demolished, destroyed, built over to destroy Bharat Swa. Why differentiate between Ram, Mahadev and Krishna? Why have one position with respect to Sri Ram Janmabhoomi and have a totally variant position with respect to Gyanvapi or with Sri Krishna Janmabhoomi or even with Kalki?
There's no, we are not reducing the importance or decreasing the importance of any temple. You know, symbolism is very important for a country. We are owning every temple, and the temple destroyed. We have given the list of 3,000 temples. Vishnu Prasad has given 20,000 temples. But there is a process of secularization of the country. And that process of secularization is connected with decolonization of the mind. Therefore, Ram temple is important. Here, secularization and decolonization go together. Number one. Number two, the Ram movement also has a great contribution by giving a message to the world, and also the orthodox elements when a person belonging to the so-called untouchable, because this is some kind of blot on the Hindu society and the Indian society. He laid the foundation of the Ram temple movement. You know, these are very important.
Rakesh Sinhaji,
there is a process. There is some process of the country. A country cannot live only in the past. Country has to go forward.
But for the country to go forward, unless can you make someone who's sleeping walk? You can't. You have to wake up the person. Now, if we go by what Mohan Bhagwat said, Dr. Ranganathan, the Swa of Bharat was awakened, or Bharat's consciousness was awakened with the Ram Janmabhoomi movement, and to get Ram Lalla Virajman at his rightful place. But does that awakening just wake up with only one eye open? What about the other eye? What about the full Chetana? Why has the RSS stopped there? And is that unfair to ask? Or is the RSS saying what we backed is justified, the rest is somebody just rabble-rousing and statements that are made which says that har masjid ke niche mandir dhoond rahe hain? Why would he say that then? He's the same person who said that too.
Absolutely, Anand. And you've been trying to get an answer, extract an answer out of my good friend Rakesh ji for the last 5 minutes, and I'm enjoying this discussion that you're having, and you haven't got the answer. The answer is absolutely straight. That day last year in January defined in many ways, rather redefined our civilization. And as you said, it was to awaken us. But again, I ask, yes, it did awaken us, but what is the point of waking up people that you then go ahead and put to sleep? What's the point? What is the difference between, if the stones could speak, they would ask this question. What is the difference between fighting to reclaim Ram Lalla or baby Krishna or Bhagwan Shiv or Kalki? There is no difference. In many ways, it is one and the same. If you have awakened people to fight for the rights, the mark of a civilization is this, Anand. This unquenchable thirst of man to demand justice for his ancestors, to correct a historical wrong, because that is what exemplifies a continuity. That is the difference between an empire and a civilization. An idea, a memory, it can never be erased. Why do you think 15-year-old children, boys were dancing in the streets in January in Ayodhya? What was the connection they had of 500 years of struggle? Because that is worth fighting for and preserving. It makes justice greater than the sum of its parts. And that is why civilizations are not fleeting like empires. To demand justice for a people who are dead for hundreds of years, it is almost as though you can feel their pain, their suffering, their destruction that has transcended the limits of body and time. And that is why history is medicine. That is why catharsis is a cure. And today, when I see the rights of our ancestors being reclaimed as far as Ram Lalla is concerned, I actually see this as a catharsis, as a deliverance of justice to my ancestors who were wrong. And I said history is a medicine, Anand. It's been a very bitter medicine for the Hindus. Our leaders feared the consecration of Somnath would herald Hindu revivalism. We stayed silent. Our leaders gave away the most sacred Christian Janamsthan fraudulently to the predatory Eidgah side. We stayed silent. Our leaders promulgated the evil Places of Worship Act to deny us our legitimate right to reclaim our temples. We stayed silent. Our leaders loved Babur more than Ram. Let me tell you of Babur in Nehru's words, quote, Babur was one of the most cultured and delightful persons one could meet. He did not destroy as his ancestors did. He was a gallant knight. There was no sectarianism in Babur, no religious bigotry, unquote, from glimpses of world history by Nehru. Now let me tell you of Babur in Babur's own words, quote, I was a wanderer for the sake of Islam and battled infidels and Hindus, determined to become a martyr. And thanks to Allah, I became a Ghazi, unquote. Babur in Babur's tomb was visited by Nehru in 1959, Indira in 1968, Rajiv in 1976, Rahul in 2005. Please ask why none of them ever visited Ram Janmasthan. 500 years, 20 generations. 20 generations before us were forced to see the Babri Masjid instead of Ram Temple. The 21st generation is seeing the Ram Temple instead of Babri Masjid. How long do we have to wait when this generation sees Krishna Lalla and his idols extracted from the footsteps of Jahanara Mosque in Agra and taken back and replaced at Mathura? How long? How long?
Now, these are questions that people will ask. I'm going by the statement of the Sarsang Chalak. See, has this awakened Bharat's Chetna? Has it created? The numbers speak for themselves. We'll put out those numbers on the screen. The number of people who have visited temples more than tourist destinations in the last 4 or 5 years. The footfall that Ayodhya has witnessed. The footfall that Varanasi has witnessed. We'll put out all the numbers there. Ayodhya is the most visited city of Uttar Pradesh in 2024, and those numbers are there on the screen. But Professor Rakesh Sinha, what is the Sarsang Chalak trying to say here? Is the Sarsang Chalak trying to say that now the Chetna is awakened, so now keep quiet? Is it what he's saying?
No, you are trying.
Is there something called half consciousness, sir?
No, I understood your question. You both are Anand and are trying to extract something which he has not said. He said something, means he defined the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. This movement has characteristically defined the India's self. Because the 500 years long movement, generation to generation, they fought not for the temple, they fought for the India's cultural independence. They fought for their own self. That's why he defined this is the second independence of the country, that is a cultural independence. This does not mean that we are undermining other temples. Bhagwan Ram, Shiva or Krishna, we are not undermining.
No, but he has not said it, sir.
Rakesh
Sinha ji, respectfully, the Sarsang Chalak has said that we are not going to participate in any other movement, is what he has said. So when the Sangh participates, it's all right.
Definitely.
But anybody else raises the thing, it's rabble rousing. Whose they is Bharat, the Swa of Bharat is what it's committed to, and it is working as a socio-cultural organization on ground to awaken the consciousness and love for Bharat, and it wants to return Bharat to its brilliant phase. Then how is it that he's himself made a statement saying, no, we are going to stop here, nothing else we are supporting. Not one word he has spoken about Adi Vishweshwar. Not one word he has spoken about Krishna Janmabhoomi. Why, Prabhu?
Anand, can I,
right
Rakesh,
from 1925 to 1925 to till the date, the RSS has been working in a holistic manner. It is fighting against untouchability. It is trying to remove the differences on the basis of regionalism and linguistic conflicts. by Sri Golwalkar, the second RSS chief, advised the Hindu to go for the Gurumukhi as their lipi. Not he said that just not you are using Gurumukhi and you are writing Hindi. There were differences. So don't try to see the Arya Samaj and Hindu Mahasabha in the RSS. RSS has its own way for civilization resurrection. It has been working. We are very clear that we are not Hindu Mahasabha. If anyone wants that some temples should be resurrected, some temples should be reclaimed, everybody is free. But RSS has its own scheme for the cultural and
but then the RSS
at the same time.
The
we
RSS
are a realist. We are just complete.
Ji.
We are realist. We are a realist. We don't. We want to see the nation that the harmony should go.
Rakesh Sinha ji, did you not expect the VHP and the Hindu Mahasabha to back the RSS when the RSS took to the streets for Ram Janmabhoomi? Now in this case, you're turning back and turning your back away from anybody else who's saying that it does not stop. Bharat Swa is not awakened. S is, sir, it is just S. What about W and A? That's the question. Half awakening is not full awakening is what many are saying, and for that, what's the position of the Sarsang Chalak? And is that a fair position then?
That's unfair. No, yes, he has taken a very fair position. Ram temple symbolizes India's second independence.
Sir, I am not at any point undermining or saying that the importance of Ram Bharat ki chetna mein hai is what Sarsang Chalak has said, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said, and any and every viewer of us will say that Bharat ke rom rom mein Ram, kan kan mein Ram. But the same viewer will also turn around and say Bharat ke rom rom mein kan kan mein Mahadev. You see, 3.5 crore people have come in 2 days at Mahakumbh. So is that not Mahadev? So where is the position on Adi Vishweshwar for the RSS? What is the position there? No, that's not part of Bharat Swa is a question many are asking. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Don't try to...
Very... I don't think... No, first of all, I'm sure Rakesh ji understands that we are all friends and we are discussing a matter that is of profound importance for our civilization moving ahead. So I don't, and Rakesh ji I'm sure understands that. But my very simple question to Rakesh ji is the following. There is no doubt that RSS took forward this flag, the movement, and helped realize Hindus fighting for and then reclaiming a demolished temple. No doubt about it. Its simple question is, does the RSS support Hindus going forward and legally reclaiming every demolished temple? Yes or no?
Well, what we'll do is we'll pause there.
Clear. RSS position is very clear. We led the movement. We led the All India movement. We created a wide discourse, and we believe that there are many things to do for us. If someone democratically wants something, RSS cannot stop. At a time, there was a Hindu Mahasabha, there was Karpatri Ji Maharaj, there was a Ganatantra Party, they had all their own way in Hindu. RSS does not claim that it is monopolizing the Hindu movement. RSS is a movement which is an experiment with the Hindu Chetna, and it has been doing.
Point well taken, and you would also appreciate very humbly if I were to say that the RSS holds a kind of sway on opinion like it never before had in its 100 years. In 100 years today, as on date, the RSS has perhaps the highest amount of sway and in terms of molding opinion, public opinion, than it ever had in its 100 years. And I'm saying this very respectfully. If the RSS will not stop anybody else, then it should also not belittle people who are making honest, genuine efforts. And when that opinion comes to the fore, and then the RSS tries to say that Ram Lalla and no further, then the question many Hindus will also ask the RSS is, are you really representing all Hindus, or was it purely a motivated movement for one and then you stop because your ends are met? So that's the question which has been repeatedly asked, and I very respectfully ask that question on behalf of those who want this question to be asked of the RSS. Rakesh Sinha ji, yes, we did put you on the spot. The idea is not to corner you, but to ask this question which should have been asked and which must be asked by all. I thank you, gentlemen. Very engaging conversation, but I have to pause here. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, it's the Mahakumbh, some of the biggest voices on day one of the Amrit Snan. Stay with us.
I need. Wait.
Look at him, he's running. That guy's running. Copy that. Yes, but we're going live in 1 second. 30 seconds. Yeah.
स्वामी जी, सबसे पहले तो मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूं कि ये महाकुंभ क्यों इतना विशेष है।
ऐसा है, 2-3 कारणों से ये महाकुंभ विशेष है कि देखो क्या है कि एक तो हमारी परंपरा इतिहास बताता है कि समुद्र मंथन से जब अमृत निकला और वो अमृत 4 जगहों पर छलका है ना, वो उसमें हरिद्वार और प्रयागराज का तीर्थराज प्रयाग, जहाँ गंगा और जमुना और सरस्वती के संगम, और फिर अपना उज्जैन, और उज्जैन क्षिप्रा के नदी के तट पर, और गोदावरी के तट पर आपको नासिक में होता है 4 कुंभ मेला, है ना। लेकिन इसके पीछे का उद्देश्य एक तो आध्यात्मिक धार्मिक परंपराएं हैं, जिसमें आदमी होता है, डुबकी लगाता है गंगा जी में, अपने आप को पवित्र करता है, ऐसी हमारी परंपरा मान्यता है। लेकिन साथ साथ इसका और भी बड़ा मान्यता है। देखो पुराने काल में, प्राचीन काल में, इसको आजकल, सॉरी टू से, आई डोंट वांट टू यूज दोज वर्ड, है ना, कि जिसको कहते हैं ना बहुत बड़ा समिट हुआ करता था ना, जिसको हमारे यहाँ, तो हमारे बड़े बड़े जो उस समय जो हम लोग पढ़ते हैं समुद्रगुप्त के समय, तो बहुत बड़ा बड़ा समिट होता था। समिट होता, देखो समय समाज की जो कंटेम्प्रेरी उस समय चुनौतियां होती थी, उस समय समस्याएं होती थी,
उन सब चीज़ों को लेकर डिस्कस करना, डिलिब्रेट करना, नए सॉल्यूशंस देना ना, तो ये भी यहाँ कुंभ का एक बहुत बड़ा उद्देश्य था। इसी कारण से परंपरा उस समय से चलते आ रही है
जी
कि एक श्रद्धा, विश्वास और ज्ञान का भी संगम, त्रिवेणी संगम जो बोलते हैं ना, श्रद्धा, विश्वास और ज्ञान का भी संगम है ना
जी।
गंगा, जमुना, सरस्वती तो है ही, तीनों हमारी देवी नदियां हैं जो हमें पवित्र करती हैं। श्रद्धा, विश्वास है, लेकिन श्रद्धा विश्वास के साथ ज्ञान का भी संगम है कि जहां से हमारे पूरे भारत भर के साधु, संत, सिद्ध, महात्मा, ऋषि, मुनि, स्कॉलर सब इकट्ठे होते थे और कंटेम्प्रेरी जो भी उस समय की चुनौती, समस्या, उसका डिस्कस, डिलिब्रेट करके नए सॉल्यूशंस भी प्रोवाइड देते थे ना, जिसको हमारे यहाँ प्राचीन भाषा में नया अनुशासन देते थे
जी।
उसके कारण से ये आस्था का, परंपरा का ऐसा
जी
संगम है, जिसको फिर आस्था, परंपरा और ज्ञान तीनों का ऐसा संगम है कि हमारे लिए, हिंदुओं के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
मैं सबसे पहले आपसे जानना चाहता हूं कि हमारे दर्शकों को बताएं कि कुंभ की विशेषता क्या है और महाकुंभ जो इस वक्त है 2025 का महाकुंभ, ये 12 साल में एक बार आता है, इसकी विशेषता क्या है?
सबसे पहली बात तो मैं ये कहूं कि इस बार का कुंभ अपने आप में बहुत ही विशेष है, ऐतिहासिक है, अलौकिक है, अवर्णनीय है। क्योंकि मैं अभी वहां गया था, वहां की तैयारियां देखी और अब तो भारत के प्रधानमंत्री, ऊर्जावान, यशस्वी, तपस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने स्वयं वहां जाकर, जैसे घर में शादी होती है ना
जी,
और उस शादी को ठीक ठीक संपन्न करने के लिए पिता माता को इतनी चिंता होती है, परिवार के मुखिया को, उन्होंने देखा कि 1 महीना बाकी है, लोग आने वाले हैं, उससे पहले जाकर मैं खुद देखूं, सारी तैयारियों को देखूं ताकि किसी को कष्ट ना हो, सारी व्यवस्थाएं ठीक तो हैं। और आज उन्होंने उन व्यवस्थाओं को देखा है। मुझे लगता है कि इस बार का मेला भारत के ऊर्जावान, तपस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन में और आदरणीय योगी आदित्यनाथ जी, जो उत्तर प्रदेश को जिन्होंने उत्तम प्रदेश बना दिया, उनके मार्गदर्शन में, नेतृत्व में इतना बढ़िया होने जा रहा है कि जहां पर पूरे विश्व के 40 से 45 करोड़ लोग आ रहे हैं
जी।
कैन यू इमेजिन? मैंने तो अपने पूरे जिंदगी में पूरे विश्व में जाने का मौका मिला है, कभी नहीं देखा किसी नदी के तट पर ऐसा कभी कोई मेला लगा हो, ऐसा कभी कोई उत्सव हुआ हो जिसमें इतने लोग एक जगह पर हों और इतने लोग होने के बाद भी नो केओस, नो क्राइम, शांति ही शांति, एंड पीपल फील एंकर्ड, ग्राउंडेड, कनेक्टेड। और ये इस मेले में क्यों होता है? क्योंकि सबके मन में ये भावना है, हजारों साल से चली आ रही है, कि इस दिन स्नान करने से वहां पर सारे पापों का क्षय होता है, व्यक्ति मोक्ष को प्राप्त होता है, व्यक्ति आनंद को प्राप्त करता है, व्यक्ति की दिशा बदलती है, व्यक्ति की ऊर्जा बदलती है, व्यक्ति को एक नई ऊर्जा मिलती है, नई दिशा मिलती है और जीवन की दशा बदल जाती है। इसलिए क्योंकि ऐसी परंपरा है, ऐसी कथा है कि देवताओं और असुरों में
जी
लड़ाई हुई, उस लड़ाई के फलस्वरूप देवताओं को लगा कि असुर बार बार कितने अटैक करते हैं, अब हमें कोई उपाय करना होगा। उन्होंने भगवान से प्रार्थना की, भगवान ने कहा देखो भाई, इसका एक ही उपाय है, अमृत, अमृत पियो और अमर हो जाओ। तो अमृत मिलेगा कैसे? तो फिर भगवान ने कहा सागर का मंथन करें और सागर के मंथन से अमृत निकलेगा, लेकिन उसके लिए एक शर्त है, उसके लिए दोनों को मिलकर सागर का मंथन करना पड़ेगा।
Co-powered by
on. Wait.
Look at him, he's running. That guy's running. Copy that. Yes, but we're going live in 1 second. 30 seconds. Yeah. $45 seconds. Here we go.
Devotees coming from different parts of India, and not just India but from entire world.
हरित कुंभ, स्वच्छ कुंभ, समर्थ कुंभ और भारत के लिए साक्षर कुंभ.
Really well organised, and we're loving our time here. We came all the way from London to be here today, and we just want to celebrate Kumbh Mela with everyone.
It is so amazing to be here. I can't thank you enough for the welcome that we've had. Everyone here has been so friendly and supportive and helpful, helping us get around everywhere.
Jai Shri Ram! Jai Shri Ram! Jai Shri Ram!
You know, it's about the cultural appealing of something really different from what we're used to.
भारतवर्ष में आभा प्रभा प्रतिभाओं की कमी नहीं है. आज बड़े बड़े दिग्गज संत जो अध्यात्म जगत की शीर्ष विभूतियां हैं, उनके नेतृत्व में और लाखों की संख्या में लोग त्रिवेणी के तट पर स्नान करने जा रहे हैं.
मकर संक्रांति के पावन अवसर सभी को हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं और संस्कृति को बचाने के लिए सबको एक होना पड़ेगा। बोल भारत माता की जय।
Greenland Laminates presents CNN News 18 Primetime Studio.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks with me, Zakir Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime